Yeah, you got to believe in yourself more than anybody else does, especially when starting.
Yes.
Delusional self-belief.
Yes.
Welcome to the Fuel Hunt Show.
What's going on, Eagles? I'm Joey, and this is the Fuel Hunt Show. I'm here with my cousin and co-founder, Drew. How you feeling?
Living the dream, baby. Making magic happen every day. That's what I do.
Making magic happen.
I'm just here to provide the magic, dude.
I love that. We also have somebody else here with us, and that is Ernest. So I've fulfilled my promise to introduce him. He's our mascot. He is from the Few Fest 001. He is sitting stately, might I add, on the table that resides between us. If you're listening, we appreciate you, but you should also be... Oh, MG's here.
Yeah.
If you're listening, we appreciate you, but you should also be watching on YouTube. Then you can see Ernest in all of his glory. The plume, the talons, the whole nine.
Never heard that word before.
Plume?
Yeah, plume.
I think that's an accurate way to describe feathers, right? Plume?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, that's,
All right.
I'm taking your word for it.
All right, today we are going to talk about turning your side hustle into your main gig, something that we are intimately familiar with, something that we've managed to do, a mountain that we've managed to climb, and we continue to climb. And when we get to the top of that mountain, we're going to look for more mountains.
Yes,
right?
yes.
This topic, as I mentioned on one of our other shows, this topic was inspired by members of our community. It is a question that we commonly get asked.
All the time.
Right?
All the time.
We commonly get asked, how can I turn my side hustle into my main gig when I can only work on it 2 hours a night, right? How can I turn my passion into my career when I don't even know how to monetize my skills? Like that phrase, monetize my skills. Like, how do I do that? So we wanted to do an episode that walks through how we did it, how we went from your basement to HQ where we're recording right now. And it's going to be long. I'm just going to set expectations. More than likely, it's going to be a 2-part episode. So, we're going to lay it all out there, and Dane will more than likely break it into 2 parts for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, so as I mentioned, we're going to talk, turning side hustle to main gig. For me, that means turning what's in your heart, what you know you're meant to do, what you're being called to do, what's in your heart, into a reality by using your hands and your hard work. That's what it means to me. Some people call it monetizing their skills. Other people call it quitting their day job, whatever. But that's what we're going to lay out today. How you think that's how most people would describe it?
Yeah, I mean, doing something that fulfills them rather than drains them, right? Because a lot of people spend their whole lives building someone else's dream and doing things that they don't feel called to do just for a paycheck. They're just trading their time, energy, and money, or time and energy for money.
Yep.
And it leads to, and sadly to say, a life that is only fulfilled on nights and weekends.
Yeah. There's a Thoreau quote, and I may not get it verbatim exact, but he says that most people die and realize that their life was unlived. They die an unlived life.
Our boy, Benny Frank, dude. What's the Benny Frank quote,
I'm going through the Rolodex in my mind.
It's most people die at 29 but are buried at 79 or something. I don't know the numbers.
25 and 75.
Yeah.
Most people die at 25 but are buried at 75. So very similar to that Thoreau quote. So you hit on an important point about fulfillment. And so much of this is about fulfillment. what I think people don't realize is that true fulfillment comes from serving others. And we're going to get into that a little bit. You know me, programmer by trade, right? Software architect. I kind of think in frameworks, right? So it should be no surprise to you that I have a bunch of S's that I want to hit during this episode. I have 5. Maybe I'm going to sneak in a 6th. I don't know.
We'll see where the episode takes us.
What's that?
We'll see where
it takes us. Yeah, we'll see where it takes us. I mean, we're going to try to, like I said, it's 2 parts. Yeah. So we have some freedom here. We can go a little long, but definitely 5 S's I want to hit, maybe a 6th. These S's that we're going to discuss, I really look at as a cycle. So while you're liberating yourself from your day job, while you're turning your side hustle into your main gig, you go through this cycle of S's, right? The first one, I think, is the most important one, and that is story. I'm going to be real for a minute. It is easier now, easier than it ever has been before, to turn your side hustle into your main gig. The tools that are available right now, the leverage that's available, it's unprecedented, right? Mm-hmm. You have a device, a rectangle, a glowing rectangle in your pocket that has most of the tools you need to liberate yourself from your day job.
I will say even to piggyback on that, the opportunity to turn any type of passion or interest into a business is greater. The possibility of doing that is greater now than it ever has been. Mm-hmm. So
that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's easier.
Yeah,
it's easier
what I'm saying is that you could do anything. Like you could do anything. Like before, maybe you could like think of. So my brother is Caden, obviously, like your cousin, going into college soon, and I joked with him as he was applying or picking out colleges. I'm like, don't go to college. You could make money doing anything. You can literally become famous or create a job for yourself doing literally anything you want. And I look at, say, like Logan Paul, right? Mm-hmm. He's literally just he's having fun with life, it seems, and just doing what fulfills him or brings him joy. Yep. And he turns them into businesses, garners attention, etc. And it just shows you that you don't need to go to school to get a degree in finance to earn enough money to feed your family one day. Like that's not the only opportunity.
Yeah, not exactly. If you're willing to hunt, if you're willing to go through the cycle of these S's that we're going to talk about over and over again for damn near a decade, you can have anything you want. Yeah. You can build whatever you want.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah. The whole, like that could be a whole nother episode, the college route. Obviously, you went to college, I went to college, but before, my perspective is different now.
Before, like a Logan Paul couldn't exist. Like he couldn't do what he did 20 years ago.
There's
what he does 20 years ago.
Technology and things that have accelerated over the years that make all of this possible. And that's my point. Like there are so many tools out there, that glowing rectangle that you have in your pocket, this phone that most people are using to consume, you can use to create any life, you want. The consumption versus the creation ratio is off for you if you are still working a day job and want to liberate yourself from it. I can almost guarantee that that's that, or you just haven't done it long enough yet. Yep. One of those two things. So let's go through these S's, right? As much as I want to go down the college route, that we're going to save that for another episode. Let's go through the S's. So I'll go through the 5, and if I hit the 6, it'll be a bonus. All right. First S, story. We'll get into that. Second, service. Third, skills. Fourth, sacrifice. Fifth, standout. So these are just markers for us, road markers. We're going to go through this cycle. First one, story. It is easier now than it ever has been to create your own life, to turn your passion into the project that pays you. It's easier. So if it's so easy and the tools are freely available and the knowledge is freely available, question for you, why don't more people do it? So the first S.
Are you looking for a specific answer, or are you
because
asking my...
Because it's the first S. No, you can.
Because you're saying because of the story they tell themselves.
Yes.
I thought you were looking for me to give my reasoning. I was going to say...
Yeah.
I mean, to the few, it might be the story they tell themselves, but to the, like you said, other people, it's realistically, they're just consuming and being lazy.
Yeah. Well, I think the two are kind of related, right? Because I think you have to have a certain level of awareness, like the few have, to realize that it's actually the story. And that's why you're quote unquote lazy. In other words, you don't believe in yourself enough to take the steps required to rewrite that story of that limiting belief. So instead of creating, you're consuming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I really think that's the, and that's why, it's the first S for me when I sat down and I thought about this. Like, you have to rewrite your story. The tools are there for you to do this. It is possible. There are literally thousands upon thousands of examples. We're one of them.
Yeah.
You first need to rewrite the story you're telling yourself. It could be some limiting belief you have that you don't deserve it, you're not smart enough, you're not whatever. Some story someone told you when you were a kid that's still rattling around in your nervous system, right? You need to release that, heal that. I realize that's a whole nother topic, but that work needs to be done.
Yep.
Because that is what unleashes you to ultimately do what you want to do.
Yeah, you got to believe in yourself more than anybody else does, especially when starting.
Yes.
Delusional self-belief.
Yes. Here's another thing though, right? When you're rewriting that story, and obviously that story varies for people. It can be very traumatic, right? It can be a little bit less traumatic where it's, I don't know. Let's just say there's varying degrees of it, okay? You hit on a word, you said belief. Regardless of the story and how deep the trauma is, sometimes you need to believe in someone else's belief in you before you can believe in yourself. And I think that the Few Will Hunt community is that for a lot of people because we believe in the few. No matter where you're at on your journey, we see not you as you are, but you as you could be and who you should be. And that sometimes helps you rewrite that story more than anything else. That community support, Yeah. So lean into, and speaking to the few, lean into the community for that belief if you're having trouble believing yourself that you're capable of it.
Yeah, I think what we do best, especially with the content we put out on social, email, SMS, is that we let you know and assure you that the power that you're looking for to achieve what you want to achieve and become what you want to become is already inside you.
Yep.
And I think that's what we do best for our community. One of the things we do best for our community.
Yeah, I think it's because we see people not as they are. We see them as what they could be. And that's rare nowadays. With attention spans being 3 seconds, everybody sees the book for the cover, not the knowledge that's inside.
Exactly. And that's what we did for ourselves, right? Like being in our main gig or our previous full-time jobs, a lot of people doubted us and never even thought we were ever going to become anything. And we had to take that criticism and feedback and channel it and believe in ourselves almost to a delusional point. Because at the beginning when we were hanging eagle flags on our office doors, it was weird, right? But now when that same eagle flag is flying across in offices all across the country, offices, gyms, boardrooms, whatever, across the world or the country, it doesn't seem that crazy anymore.
Yep. You're taking this exactly where I wanted to go. We are the founding members of the few, right? So the limiting beliefs that I had that were slowing me down and trying to convince me that we couldn't do this, I believed in your belief in me to rewrite those, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
And we could this could be an entrepreneur podcast, but like having a partner.
Yes.
It almost made it easier. Well, it did make it easier. Like that's one of the best parts of having you as a partner is it made it, like I knew you always had my back and I always had yours. So like wherever we were flying and on this journey, we were flying together.
Yes. So that's exactly where I'm going with the story. It took us a little bit to get there. We chopped it up a little bit, but that limiting belief, that story that you're telling yourself that's keeping you from taking the steps and using all the freely available tools to monetize your skills or turn your side hustle into your main gig, that story needs to be rewritten. And the best way to do it is to lean into your people.
Yeah.
Find a partner, find a community.
Yeah.
And those that are listening and watching to the show, it just so happens now we have a large community that they can lean into. Yeah. And you have to believe in others' belief in you before you can believe in yourself. So that honestly, the story, and this is why it's the first S in these steps or in this cycle, that's what keeps people from doing this. It's not the fact that they don't know how. Dude, the roadmap's out there. You can buy a book.
Oh yeah.
You can download a course.
This goes back to the college conversation, but I've learned the most I know about business and life through books than I ever did at college.
Yeah. And what's a book cost you nowadays?
$12, I'd say 20 max.
Yep. We read a few books when we first started. Mm-hmm. You know, we read Bedros's book, Man Up. We read Ryan Daniel Moran's book. Obviously some of the, OG personal development books like 12 Pillars, like.
Yeah. A book, if anyone's starting a business, The E-Myth, I don't know who wrote that, but you know that book?
Yep.
The E-Myth, you heard of that one?
No.
I think that book reco for anyone that's listening to this and starting a business.
Yeah, got you. So yeah, first step, story, you got to rewrite it. And the easiest way to rewrite it is to believe in the people that have your back, believe in their belief in you to start believing in yourself. So once you're over that hurdle, which is arguably one of the hardest, arguably, then rubber starts hitting the road. Second, I hesitate to call them steps.
Yep.
Because it's more of a cycle, right? Like once you rewrite the story and you get rubber hits the road and you're starting to get some traction with turning that side hustle into that main gig, there's going to be haters, there's going to be doubters, there's going to be people that criticize you, right? That's a constant. So you're always going to be pulled. They're trying to pull you backwards, and they're trying to pull you backwards into that story.
I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast yet, but Bedros has I'm pretty sure it might even be his original theory or story he came up with, the crab theory.
Crabs in a bucket.
And I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but it was one thing that definitely stuck with me from when I was a fan, before I was a friend of Bedros. But he talks about, him and Diana were on a fishing trip in Alaska, or a cruise in Alaska, I think it might have been.
Yeah, cruise.
And there was a fisherman that they passed by, and he said, "Oh, it's crazy. Whenever a crab goes to climb out, he gets pulled back in." And he said it made him think about how that applies to life, that whenever a crab goes to climb out of that bucket, the other crabs pull him back down. Mm-hmm. So that was it. He was like, "Oh, aren't you scared that the crabs are going to climb out of the bucket?"
Didn't have a lid.
And he said, "No, I'm not scared the crabs are going to climb out of the bucket because I know the other crabs will always drag them back down.
Yep. So that's the thing. Like I hesitate to call these steps because once you pass through the gate, it's not like you never see it again.
Yeah.
As you continue this process, everyone will pull you backwards.
No, the crabs are still there.
Yeah. Everybody will pull you backwards, and they will make you revisit the story. You know, when we started, when we started Fuel Hunt, like I remember like one of the stories that I would tell myself, and I still tell myself to this day, and I think this is how hard workers think. I would always tell myself I wasn't working hard enough when clearly I was. Like I would do so much and then still think I wasn't doing enough.
I think that's just a hard workers or one of the
It's the mentality of,
I still feel that way.
Yep. Yeah.
And Brianna, my sister and operations manager, as she grows, she even has the same revelations we've had throughout our journeys. But she called me the other day and she was like, Drew, I sat there and I thought that I just need to work harder. And I was like, she's already someone that has done so much for us and does great every day. But I was like, well, welcome to my life, sis.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome.
That's what it's like.
That was one of the beliefs that, I told myself. I told myself that I didn't speak well enough. I wasn't good on camera. I told myself I had no experience designing apparel. Like, there were experience arguments. There were everything. Like so many stories I told myself that if I didn't have your belief in me, I would have never been able to believe in myself.
And that's so funny you say that because another thing that's come around for me lately, and I always have these like epiphanies, right? Like things that just I've heard before, but they come around later in life. I'm like, oh, like that's what that fucking meant.
You're gonna put money in the bucket for Consequence of Habit.
So
our partner, nonprofit.
The phrase I was thinking of, I thought to myself, no one out there is any smarter than you. Better, maybe some people, like there's some people, right, like Steve Jobs or I don't know, maybe like people like that are definitely smarter than me, but they don't have some intrinsic knowledge or magic powers that you don't have. They're just out there doing shit.
Yes.
Like not all, maybe I'd say all, but a lot of like successful people out there in what you want to be successful in, you could be just as successful.
Oh, it's right, dude. What is this? It's like a club, dude. You're throwing dollars around. I will not pick that up because that. Oh, there you go. All right. Yes, that's a very good point. We'll get into that too, because there's an S around that. So first S in the cycle story, you got to get rid of your head trash, man. That's what it comes down to. You're never going to be able to turn your side gig into your main hustle. You're never going to be able to liberate yourself from your day job to do what fulfills you if you got this head trash floating around. So you got to find your people. Fortunately, like I said, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, you have the few, find your people, lean into their belief that they have in you, and you'll start believing in yourself. So that's first S. Second S, which is something that near and dear to our heart, service. Okay. I firmly believe that a key component to doing this is making sure that you have a strong purpose rooted in the service to others. And it's probably like a mouthful, like a big way to say it, but like think of it this way, right?
Yeah.
There's a famous quote. I'm not sure who said it, so forgive me. But the quote goes something like this: we should be ashamed to die until we have left our mark on society. We have made a contribution to society or our community. We should literally be ashamed to die if we have not done that. And it was always something that I held in my heart, because at the end of the day, what you're about to do, I know I'm speaking to the few. I know you're focused on you. How am I going to turn this thing that I love to do into this thing that pays me? But it's not about you, and it goes back to what you were saying, like about fulfillment. What's truly fulfilling is serving others, making sure that they're stronger and smarter than when you found them. And that's what we do here. And we do it through content, and we do it through apparel, and we do it through all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, that's what we do.
It's interesting that you say that, because one thing that when I look in, and I'm talking with our customer service reps and any people that work for us, the person that cares more about the other person is who wins. And even like, so let me rephrase that. Like in an argument in business, if you truly care about the other person, how you're making them feel, so when it relates to business, right? Like the person that's consuming your content or buying your product, if you truly care about what your product is doing to their life or changing them as a person, that's when you'll really start to have impact. And then that comes full circle back to you and actually allows you to create more freedom, be more fulfilled, and live a potentially great life.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you were the road you were going down.
Yeah, I got
was like
a little,
an example
I got a
with
little worry there.
Even with Brianna D, that runs customer service. That's how she rolls. That's how she operates.
Yep.
Like she's bringing more care and concern. That's like her job to bring more care and concern and service to the situation, right?
Yeah, thank Connect. Wow, that's all, I mean, dude, we're just giving away all the secrets. I feel like we have already on this this podcast. Just giving it.
One thing the other day that it just hit me, you're talking about epiphanies and revelations. Like secrets are reserved for the seekers, man.
Yeah.
That came to me the other day.
Yeah.
You've got to be out there doing it, man.
Yeah.
You've got to be seeking the solutions to the problems in your life and your business. And then what happens is you uncover the quote unquote secrets.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got to be out there. You can't download somebody else's secrets because your secrets are unique to you or your business.
Sure. And I thought you were saying something else, but there's a lot of people on the internet and social media giving away free game nowadays. Like they're literally telling you how to.
Dude, it goes back to the first S story. Dude, it's never been easier. All the tools are there. You can download a course. You can watch it in 6 hours. You can read a book, and sometimes less than that. These books are short. That give you the roadmap. No matter what you're trying to do. You're trying to grow your following through entertainment account. You're trying to start an apparel company. Whatever it is. You know what I mean?
And realistically, the amount of people that will actually take what you're giving and actually apply it.
Yep.
Or is a sample
That's what I'm
size
saying.
small.
So the only way that I can explain that 80-20, because that's what it is.
Yep.
The prayer principle holds true.
Yep.
The only reason I can explain that is the story that they're telling themselves.
Yep.
And the fact that they don't believe in themselves, which is, everybody's got that problem, man.
Yeah.
But they have people that believe in them, and that's what they need to lean into to rewrite that story, you know?
I agree.
And yes, there's other things, you know, depending on how deep that limiting belief is. You know, there's other steps to heal, but one of the steps that I know will be the most impactful for the few is that belief.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, second S, service. Look, the way I look at it is what you want to be your main gig, that thing that you want to do that is not the day job that you're doing now, you need to have an honest look at it, and you have to kind of break it down in three ways, right? You have to say, all right, look, you know, personally, this is what I'm going to get out of this, right? Professionally or financially, this is what I'm going to get out of this.
Yep.
But the third thing is the most important thing, and that is what social contribution does this have? Like, how does this serve others and leave them better than you've found them?
Yep.
You know, you need to break it down. And if that third piece is missing from this ultimate goal you have, that's a problem.
Yep.
That's a problem. Because it's going to get super hard. Super hard.
Oh, yeah.
And your personal goal and your professional goal that's nestled inside, it ain't going to be enough.
Yeah, you got a strong.
It ain't going to be enough. It's not going to be fulfilling. It's not going to be fulfilling enough.
Yeah.
It's not a strong enough why.
Yeah.
You know? So second S in the process in the cycle, service, right? And again, like this is a cycle. Just like the crabs in the bucket will try to pull you back to the story that you told yourself that prevented you from starting this transition from side hustle to main gig.
Yeah.
Service and how you can serve others will also evolve along the way. You will come back. You'll start out one way and say, hey, look, you know, I serve people by brightening their day and making them laugh through my skits that I do. You know, that's how I serve them. You get further down the road, you find other ways to serve. You know, you find other ways to serve your people. So service, big S. If you don't have some element of service to others, my suggestion is just stop. And like maybe some people won't agree with it, but that's my suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what's going to ultimately ensure that you don't die a life unlived. You know?
I agree.
All right, let's rock into the third. Well, you know what? Before we get there, do I want to talk about this now or should I save it? From day one, Fuel Hunt has been a community. Mm-hmm. From day one, we've always put our community members first.
Always.
Right? Have we... Did we always have the words to describe the contribution that we wanted to have to society? Like, we knew what we wanted to do, but we didn't really have the words to describe it, right?
No, I think it also, from that perspective, it's kind of evolved, right?
Yes.
Just as our what we foresaw our community being has evolved. We thought when we started Fuel Hunt, we thought we were gonna be just entrepreneurs and salesmen, right? Like people like us, like just in our walk of life. But realistically, when we were so limited, right? We weren't seeing the few for where they are in every walk of life. So no, but one thing that does ring true for me that I think I adapted early on about our community was changing the world one hard worker at a time. And that was one thing that we adapted early on and still
hung around
and still say to this day.
We didn't like the point I'm trying to make is like we knew that we needed to change society. We knew that we needed to serve hard workers like us that felt alone, and we knew we needed to bring them in a community to make them feel strong, supported, believed in, all that good stuff. But like right out the gate, we didn't know that our big mission or the way that we would serve society was by restoring the dignity of hard work. Yeah. Like we didn't come up with that on day one. Like we didn't have the words for it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to call out that like, you know, the way that you serve will evolve over time. It's kind of like your purpose, right? Like it's not fixed. Like everybody puts all this pressure on themselves. Like, what's my purpose in life? I need to find like this one thing. It's like, dude, it could be multiple things. It evolves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It might be different when you're 40 from when you're 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Let's talk about the third S, and this is an S maybe we can talk about a little bit here, right? And tell some stories, right? Because we haven't really done that just yet. Tell some stories. Sloan's here. Sloan's happy. Sloan's happy to be here.
Yeah, that's
Sloan is Brianna's daughter.
You're like a baby cat.
Yeah. That is not a sound effect from Dane to keep everybody on their toes. It is an actual baby. Let's talk about the third S in the cycle, and this one is a hard pill to swallow, I think, for a lot of people. Yeah.